Okay, it's time to switch from ClassIn. If you're an independent online ESL teacher, check out these 4 alternative platforms you can use instead. So, from February the 27th, ClassIn has announced that they are changing the features of their free plan, essentially limiting free users to only 20 classes per month in total. It used to be 20 per student, now it's 20 classes in total. Therefore, most ESL teachers using ClassIn are now faced with the decision between either paying $300 a year for the pro version of ClassIn, which, let's be honest, is rather expensive, or looking into some alternatives. Now, of course, if you're serious about your online teaching business, you are going to need to invest in the technology and the platforms that you need for your teaching. However, being totally honest, I don't think ClassIn is worth $300 a year. It's definitely been falling behind competitors in recent years in terms of the features that are available, and I kind of find it a bit clunky. There are definitely some better options out there, even some free ones, so before you pay up, let's check them out today. So hi everyone, I'm Katie and I help online teachers like you expand your online teaching business. If you'd like to learn more, don't forget to subscribe for more tutorial videos, free webinars, and great content to help you grow your online teaching business. Now, all the platforms I'm going to be talking about today, I've got links to in the description below, including some great discount codes, so don't forget to check those out. So firstly, ClassIn is very popular for a reason. Let's summarise some of the really important features of ClassIn that we're going to be looking for in these alternatives today. Firstly, it's a collaborative whiteboard-based platform. That means that you and your students are able to draw, or you can type, you can annotate, you can add images, and you can drag and drop and move things around in this virtual classroom environment. The second key feature of this virtual classroom is the ability to upload files, particularly worksheets or slides that you've made, which will help you in your teaching. Now thirdly, ClassIn also has some basic screen sharing features. They're pretty basic, but that's also a useful tool that many teachers use. Okay, another key feature is its browser tool. This allows you to open any website to share with your students. For example, you might want to watch a YouTube video or open your Google Slides. Another really important thing you can do is record the classes, whether that's to the cloud or on your computer, which you can then share with the students afterwards. And a final really useful feature of the classroom is the student reward system. You can award your students trophies when they get an answer correct, and this builds up and motivates them to keep learning. Then there are also some useful out-of-class tools, particularly the ability to message your students before and after class. You can send them files, for example, as a homework task, and you can also set assignments, including some that can be automatically marked using their quiz features. And a final really key out-of-class tool is the ability to pre-schedule classes and share them on a calendar system with your students. Okay, so let's jump in and look at the alternatives. The first alternative I want to talk about is the one that I personally use myself, and that is Koala Go. So Koala Go is a teaching platform I'd highly recommend. I've been using it for the past year with my own students, and it's got a lot of the features you'll be looking for in a ClassIn alternative. So firstly, just like ClassIn, it's got a collaborative whiteboard system where your students can type and draw and add images and move things around and play games together. Just like with ClassIn, there's also the ability to directly upload PDF files and PowerPoint files into the virtual classroom environment, so your students can then annotate and engage with those resources together. Then it also has some basic screen sharing features, nothing too advanced, but to be honest, pretty similar to ClassIn. And something that's really unique to Koala Go is the browser tool. Now, ClassIn has a very basic built-in browser. You can open up a website and just show it to your students. But what Koala Go has is a much more advanced co-browsing tool. That means that both you and your student can browse the internet together within this web browser. It's like a built-in web browser within the classroom itself. So if you're using any web-based curriculum like the ABH Academy curriculum and you want your students to be able to directly click and move things and answer questions on the slides, or perhaps you want to play some online games together using websites like Wordwall, this is something that you can do within the Koala Go co-browser that you can't do within ClassIn. And then a final really important in-class feature of Koala Go is the student reward system. You can give your students stars and confetti rewards as they go through the lesson in order to reward them for their hard work. Then we look at some of the out-of-class features. Koala Go is a little bit more designed for independent students compared to ClassIn. For example, you can actually invoice your students directly within Koala Go and receive payments through the Koala Go platform. And then another really great out-of-class feature they only recently launched is Learn with Koala. Learn with Koala is a marketplace platform where you can directly advertise your classes, particularly designed for group classes, where students can then sign up. So they're actually helping you advertise your classes for you, and it also means there's an easily kind of scheduling system that students can use to book classes with you. However, there are a few limitations of Koala Go compared to ClassIn. Firstly, it doesn't really have any out-of-class messaging system. You can't communicate with your students or send homework and files outside of the classroom. And the second major limitation is the lack of class recordings. You cannot record the class to share with your students later. I know this is something a lot of parents are asking for. Okay, if we look at the price of Koala Go has a free version and a pro version. The free version includes nearly all the features we talked about, but the main exception is the co-browsing tool. And the paid version is $180 for the year if you use the discount code I've got in the links below. And that includes all of the features that we've been talking about. Okay, the next platform I want to talk to you about is SuperKid. SuperKid in some ways is quite similar to Qualago, but it has a whole bunch of extra features as well. It's definitely one worth considering. So just like with Qualago and ClassIn, it has a great collaborative whiteboard system where you can upload images, you can add text, you can annotate, you and students can move things around and engage with this virtual whiteboard system. Another great feature that's a little bit different to the others we talked about so far is the ability to upload files and actually edit them within SuperKid's classroom platform. So for example, if you've got a worksheet or you're working on a Word document together, you and your students can actually directly type on the document and edit it rather than just annotating. But something I think is really great about SuperKid, just like with Qualago, is that they have a co-browsing tool. So you and your students can directly interact and engage with web-based materials, curriculum, games and activities and browse the web together as if you're using the same computer. So it's very different to ClassIn where it's just a passive browser that only the teacher can interact with. This is one that both the student and the teacher can engage with. Okay, SuperKid also has a built-in students reward system. You can send these cute emoji rewards and confetti rewards to celebrate your students' achievements. Another really great feature of SuperKid is the class recording feature. So your classes will automatically be recorded and uploaded securely to the cloud for you and your students to watch back later if you wish. Then we look at some of the out-of-class features. SuperKid does have a relatively basic messaging system, so you can message and communicate directly with your students, send them files for example, homework assignments. It also has a full scheduling, booking and payment system, including the ability for students to book one-on-one classes via your own booking calendar, the ability for you to schedule group classes for multiple students to sign up to, and even the ability to sell self-paced online courses, which people can do at their own pace. So that really allows you to earn passive income while you sleep. Something that's really good about the SuperKid platform compared to some other marketplaces is that parents can also pay via WeChat Pay. It's definitely going to be very popular with Chinese customers. Then we look at some limitations of SuperKid. To be honest, I'd say there's only one major limitation compared to ClassIn, and that's the homework assignment system. So whereas on ClassIn you can send an assignment and can have automatically marking quizzes and things like that, SuperKid just has a very basic homework setting system where you can just send a file such as a worksheet for your students to do. Okay, so let's look at the price of SuperKid. SuperKid is actually free to get started. There are no monthly fees. However, they instead charge 15% commission on your earnings. This is really great if you're just starting out as an online teacher or you want something that's a sort of pay-as-you-go, pay-when-you-earn model, without the financial commitment of paying a monthly subscription or an annual subscription fee. Okay, the third teaching platform I want to talk to you about is DingTalk. Now, DingTalk is actually an app more aimed at business customers originally, but they now have a virtual classroom system as well, as it was used a lot by Chinese schools during the pandemic. And if I was to give a very broad description of DingTalk, it would be a cut-down version of ClassIn. It has some very similar features. So firstly, the collaborative whiteboard system is a whiteboard-based platform just like ClassIn, and it looks very similar, suspiciously similar to be honest. So you can do all of the main things that you could do in the ClassIn whiteboard. You can draw, you can annotate, you can add images, and your students can directly interact and engage with the whiteboard-based materials. You also have the ability to upload files directly to the whiteboard, for example, worksheets, PDF files, and slides. Now, DingTalk does have very basic screen sharing, but I put an emphasis on very basic. It's a bit more basic than ClassIn screen sharing. To be honest, if you're going to be screen sharing a lot in your classes, DingTalk probably isn't the platform for that. Another feature that DingTalk has is a recording feature. Now, you can't record to the cloud, but you can record to your local storage, and then you'd have to separately send that file to your student after class. Something I do think is really good about DingTalk, though, is the out-of-class features. So firstly, DingTalk has a really advanced messaging system, including the ability to send direct messages and group messages to your students. You can also share files with them, and the great thing is that these files can be edited collaboratively. So for example, if you send them a homework worksheet that's done as a document file, an editable document, they can edit it within the cloud, and then you can see their edits as they're writing them. And you can even comment yourself with your own feedback all within the same file system. This is very different to pretty much every other platform where you're having to send back and forth files and edited versions. Another thing that's really great about DingTalk is the ability to write meeting feedback and to-do tasks at the end of your class meetings. This can be really helpful, for example, to send feedback to parents or to set small to-do tasks as part of a longer-term project that your students are working on. And finally, something that DingTalk has that's kind of similar to ClassIn, you can pre-schedule your classes in advance and have it all set up on a calendar system so your students can see all of their upcoming meetings in one place. However, DingTalk does have quite a few limitations. I would say it is very much a cut-down version of ClassIn. So firstly, it doesn't have a browser system, so if you're using a lot of web-based materials, you're having to screen share those, which is rather clunky. Secondly, there's no ability for students to schedule the classes directly on a booking calendar system. There's also no option for students to pay for classes, there's no invoicing features or anything like that, unlike some of the alternatives we've already talked about. And finally, I'll say in general, I find DingTalk is a little bit clunky to use. It feels a bit like ClassIn, but not quite as good. Okay, let's have a look at the pricing then. The great thing about DingTalk is that it's totally free. You don't need to pay for any pro version to get all of these features, which makes it a really great option if you don't want to be paying for your teaching platform. Okay, the final alternative I want to talk to you about is Zoom. We're probably all familiar with Zoom, and many people have tried it out previously for classes before dismissing it and moving to something like ClassIn instead. However, they've actually released some really great features in the last year or so, which actually is going to be a lot more beneficial for teachers who are teaching online with Zoom. So firstly, we talked about all these other platforms having a collaborative whiteboard system. Zoom now has its own collaborative whiteboard platform. It's not just the small mini whiteboard thing they used to have. Now you can have shared whiteboard spaces, which you can actually send to students completely outside of class time as well, and where your students and you can annotate and add images and add text and so on. The kind of basic version of the ClassIn whiteboard, but I do like the fact that you can share it with students outside of your class time. For example, if they want to review it for homework, or if you're partway through working on an assignment or worksheet and you want them to finish it off in their own time. Okay, the second feature Zoom has is its screen sharing features, which is probably the main thing that Zoom is known for, and something that I think is really advanced compared to the other platforms we've talked about. If you're using resources that are primarily screen shared, Zoom is probably the best platform for that, because you can share individual apps, individual web browser windows, parts of the screen, and so on. It's also very easy to annotate and control your students' interactions with screen share. Okay, third great feature of Zoom is the ability to record your classes. If you've got a free Zoom account, you can record it locally, and then you'd have to send the file directly to your student after class. If you've got a pro plan, you also have the option to record your classes to the cloud, which makes it much easier to just send a link to your students. Okay, now let's have a look at some of the out-of-class features for Zoom. Something that is new in Zoom, it's only released maybe 6 months or so ago, is the ability to directly message with people within Zoom itself. It has now a basic messaging platform. You can also send files through this messaging system, which could be helpful for setting homework. And another really important out-of-class tool for Zoom is the ability to pre-schedule your classes, including recurring meetings that happen at the same time every week, and send these links to your students. However, there are quite a few limitations of Zoom, so just to run through some of those quite quickly. Firstly, you can't upload and directly edit files together. It hasn't got any collaborative file editing features, unlike other platforms, particularly DingTalk is strong at that. Secondly, I would emphasise that the virtual whiteboard is quite a new feature on Zoom, and it's still very basic. It's not nearly as advanced as ClassIn or even some of the other platforms like Koalago. Third limitation, there's no browser tool, so the only way you can share things from your web browser is by screen sharing. However, they do have some third-party apps that integrate with Zoom that allow you to have a co-browser. For example, using Remote HQ. However, this requires extra fees. The next key limitation is that there are no student reward systems. And finally, there's no kind of booking calendar or booking system, no ability to send students invoices or get them to book classes and pay for them online, although there are, of course, third-party tools and additional fees that integrate well with Zoom for this instead. If we have a look at the price for Zoom, there is a free version which has most of these features we've talked about, with the exception of the cloud recordings, the collaborative whiteboard, and also has a 40 minute per class limit. Or their pro version is $150 per year. Okay, so there we go. That was 4 great alternatives to ClassIn. And depending on your teaching curriculum, your teaching style, how many students you have, what kind of prices you're charging your classes and things like that, different platforms will be best suited for you. I would say firstly, if you're looking for a quick alternative to ClassIn that is totally free and has similar whiteboard features to ClassIn, then have a look at DingTalk. If you're looking for a platform that has a similar whiteboard system, but also extra features such as the co-browser tool, a fun playground area, and it's really fun and engaging for younger kids, definitely have a look at Koalago. If you want something that hasn't got a monthly recurring subscription fee, but still has a very interactive virtual classroom environment and also has a whole bunch of out-of-class features, such as the ability for students to schedule classes, have a look at SuperKid. And finally, if you're actually using more resources that are screen shared rather than whiteboard based, then you'll want to have a look at Zoom instead. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe, and I'll see you again in the next video.